The term recycling and the benefits are well known, but the process of recycling is not nearly as well known. This program is Municipal Beat. I'm Ralph Robinson, and we know that you're going to enjoy the recycling experience as we take you on a tour through the Bronte 3 R's materials recovery. A recycling truck has just arrived. Gwen, tell us what is happening.
The vehicle is being weighed in order that we can submit information to the region of Halton and to the Ministry of Environment on the quantities of materials that are processed in this facility.
And I guess we'll get into that a little bit more in detail inside, but you know, this is an ICI cardboard truck?
That's correct. It's come from some of the industries here in Halton.
And as I understand it, they go in, they're weighed here, they go in and return empty and get weighed again.
That's correct, yes. They're offloaded and then returned to the scales and they're weighed on their way out.
The weighing process continues inside with a look at the scales and the electronic part of that, Gwen.
Yes, that's correct. We have documentation to verify that the companies have been in here and how much material they've actually brought in. And once the scale ticket has been printed, then the driver comes in from the truck and receives his portion to take back to his company. Then the information from there is put into a computer system, and we track it through on that methodology.
I guess this process is all recorded with one of the ministries.
Yes, it's recorded not only with the Ministry of Environment and Energy, it's also recorded with the region of Halton.
Gwen DeCepolo is the president of Bronte 3 R's Materials Recovery. And I guess it's been a long time that you've been in this business, Gwen, but before we talk about you and your husband, I would like you to go back a little bit in history, if you can, and tell us how the concept of recycling came about. What made it occur?
Well, with my limited knowledge on that, I understand that paper was being recycled back in the early 1900s. Steel was being recycled back in the early 1900s. Glass has been recycled for quite some time. It's only been the last couple of generations after the Second World War that recycling wasn't the in thing to do. We had to have new things. And so we are coming back into the recycling mode again.
Yes, recycling now is the in thing to do, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and everybody's proud to be able to participate. It's whether it's in the household or whether it's in industry or you know, at a job, everybody seems to want to participate now.
It's probably an obvious answer, but what the 3 R's stand for?
Recycle, reduce, and reuse.
Of course. Now, about Gwen and her family, tell us a little bit about how you got into this business, how long you've been into it.
Well, my husband got involved in it in 1976 in the town of Dundas. And then in the 77, we contacted the city of Burlington and asked them if they'd be interested in having a program whereby we collected newspapers from some households. And they responded positively, so we started on September 7th, 1978, in the city of Burlington in the region of Halton. And then we moved into the town of Oakville a couple of years later, and town of Milton as well, and started collecting bottles and cans. And then it expanded through to Halton Hills, started bringing materials to the program as well. And then about 10 years ago, well, I guess it'd be 11 years ago really, because it took about a year to formulate it, but a regional contract was brought together, so all 4 municipalities were involved in bringing all the materials to one facility for processing. And that was the first regional contract in Ontario. So we're the forerunners in many ways, and we've worked very, very closely with the municipal officials in this particular region, and the citizens. I mean, it's the citizens that they want to do it. And I think before any bylaws came into place, the citizens felt it was the right thing to do. And I think that gave us the impetus to keep going.
I guess you've expanded your ability now to deal with other than municipal governments and municipalities.
Yes, we're serving the what we call the industrial, commercial, institutional sector as well. It's called ICI. And we also have companies bringing material into our facility here in Oakville, such as Laidlaw and BFI and Phillips, and we process the material for some of their customers in this area.
You started off by telling us that it was paper that was recycled a number of years ago when it all began. And now that's been added to, and there's more and more and more product that's recyclable. At curbside in particular, I'm thinking of. Maybe you could tell us just exactly for Halton, what is the current status?
Well, the current status is that we not only can recycle the basic of the paper, steel cans, aluminum cans, and glass containers. We can also recycle some of the plastic containers as well, and that includes the small-mouthed, high-density bottles. That would be for soap or detergent, that sort of thing. And then as well, we could recycle the PET bottle, which is the soft drink container. And then also we recycle polystyrene here, which is known as styrofoam by most people.
By the layman like me. Gwen, tell me about what you see, a little bit of the future. What do you see being allowed to be recycled that isn't currently an acceptable product, and any glorious recommendations or visions that you have for the recycling industry and the world in general?
Mm-hmm. Well, the area of growth is in the plastic industry. Just not too long ago, there was a state law passed in California which is influencing the need for some secondary plastic. And that is that there has to be a certain percentage of recycled plastic in their products. And so when that sort of thing happens, it has an impact. But it takes a long time for the plastic industry and other industries to develop confidence in their products, and the consumer to have confidence in the products as well. But for some reason or other, people have the illusion that using secondary materials or post-consumer materials or recycled materials, all the same thing, that it's not as good a product, and it wouldn't be on the shelf if it weren't as good a product.
Well, I'll tell you, you people have come a long way, and I think it's just absolutely great. Now, take us out into your plant and show us how you do it. Gwen, this is the region of Halton, the Laidlaw curbside pickup vehicle entering your building here now with a load to discharge.
That's correct. The first thing that they do is move forward here, and then the driver will back up into the pile of fiber, paper fiber. That pile contains newspapers, corrugated, boxboard, magazines, telephone books, and soft-covered books. That material has to be sorted and graded according to the marketplace that it goes to. Now you see now they're opening up the doors and in preparation for it to be dumped on the floor. And they have to secure the doors for safety reasons for all concerned.
And this is the newspaper that has been picked up either in an apartment building or at curbside in Halton someplace.
Exactly. Yeah, this week it's Oakville's week. Now the truck is being raised, and momentarily you'll see the paper dropping onto the floor. On the side of the truck, you'll see different signs. On this particular truck, it says, "Recycling is mandatory. Show you care. Use your blue box today." They have different signs that are rotated on these trucks. Now, one of the problems that we have with this particular dump is that a glass has come through. So somebody has put glass into the blue boxes, and you can see cans. That's very dangerous if it gets mixed in with the paper fiber.
Gwen, this is the sorting of the fine paper, and let's watch and we see what happens here.
Yes, the material is dropped onto a double conveyor line. You'll see that in this particular instance, the fine paper is bagged from some of the offices. Not only do they have the fine paper in here, they've got some polystyrene, or as most people call it, styrofoam, sitting in here. So that has to be sorted out. We high grade the material so that it goes back into office paper rather than putting it into products such as toilet tissue, which is an end run as far as the recycling aspect is concerned.
Now, what are these ladies doing here?
So, this particular lady has been taking telephone books out because they don't go through the fine paper. In here, it's a colored grade of paper. And then up over here, we have the computer papers being taken out. And then we get to the next segment. Here is the hardcover books are removed. And they go...
Are those children's storybooks and everything like that?
Yes, it's quite a variety of books here. And we have people who come in and go through the books and reuse them for different projects.
You use them as books?
Reuse them as books. Otherwise, the binding is taken off and the inside component sheets are recycled into paper again.
And carrying on, we've got another lady down here separating something else.
Well, in this section, we're taking out the manila envelopes and the file folders and box board and cardboard. We keep that out of the system. And then we have a repeat of the same system. Computer paper being taken out, magazines being taken out, newspapers being taken out. And then in the end, we end up with a product that is black on white, which is black ink on white paper.
At the very end box here is what you're saying.
That's right. So whatever is coming through the line, we will change the system to accommodate whatever product is, like say if it's 80% computer paper, the negative sort, which is a sort to the end of the line, will be computer paper. In this instance, most of the material is black and white, so we've sorted to a black and white on the negative sort.
How many different sorts or different types of sorted products do you get as a result of this operation, this particular line?
Yeah, we'd have about 9 or 10 different sorts happening here. Actually, in the fine paper...
I meant the fine paper.
Yes, in the fine paper industry, you could have up to 100 grades. But most of the operations do as we do, and they maximize with the highest volume of a particular grade.
Before we look at the baling area, Gwen, I understand that anybody can come in here with dry cardboard in their trunk or their pickup and bring it in and leave it with you for disposal.
Yes, that's correct. Not only do the haulers bring in material, but the citizens of Halton bring in material. That includes cardboard, fine paper, the glass and the cans, and the plastic items that are listed on the Halton Region Blue Box program.
Okay, now let's watch as you actually start the baling process and pushing some of the cardboard toward the baler, and then the bales being discharged.
Okay, so here's the Bobcat is moving some of the corrugated material onto the line, and it moves up the line. This has been pre-sorted. It's very important that the material that we ship to the mills is the material that meets the criteria that they require.
How much do these bales weigh? Have you any idea?
About 1,200 pounds. They, of corrugated weighs approximately 1,200 pounds. as I said, the critical aspect is meeting the specifications of the mill. That's why when you have notices going around to the households and to businesses with regard to what is acceptable and not acceptable, it's the end marketplace that determines what is acceptable.
What we can actually see then is the cardboard, look, it's moving up the
conveyor line.
Conveyor line, and then
That's right.
It gets processed and squeezed into bales and comes out at the bottom.
That's right, and then the bales are then shipped out in tractor-trailer loads to the marketplace. This particular material, the cardboard, is shipped to 4 or 5 different companies here in Ontario. Some of it's used as cardboard and made back into cardboard packaging. Some of it's used in box board for items like shoe boxes, etc.
How many hours a day do you do this baling? I suppose it varies.
Yeah, it does. It varies according to what comes in each day. This particular conveying line works for 8 hours at this particular time. We actually run 24 hours a day from Monday to Friday for the combination of the residential and the ICI. ICI is industrial, commercial, and institutional materials.
Which is what we're looking at right now.
Exactly, that's correct.
Other than the fact that if I came in from my house with a little bit of cardboard, that isn't really ICI, but you will accept it.
No, we will accept it, and it goes again, if it's an individual, it goes against the statistics relative to the residential program.
Gwen, this is the blue box being collected and brought to your facility here with all the various pop bottles and aluminum cans and glass bottles and all those things that are legally able to be put in the blue box. Maybe you'd like to just kind of take over here and tell us a little bit about what is actually happening and what we may expect to see roll out of the back of that truck.
You'll be seeing the second stream. We have in Halton we have 2 streams. One is the fiber stream, and the other one is the container stream. And this is the second stream, which contains, as you said, the brown bottles, the green bottles, blue bottles, clear bottles, the PET bottles, and then you see the high density bottles, small mouth high density bottles will come out of here. The aluminum cans, steel cans.
Is this blue box collection from Oakville?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Let's just say that again. This is blue box collection from Oakville.
That's correct. And you also see there's some polystyrene or styrofoam, as some people call it, as well. This is a good load. Quite often, especially with the apartment buildings, we've been having some problems recently.
Do you see anything illegal in there?
Not on this one, I don't think. Well, technically, this particular item, I don't even know what it is. It's a piece of metal, and it shouldn't be in there. Quite often, we'll get jars full of food. Now, this load looks pretty good. The other day, unfortunately, in one of the apartment containers, a battery came in, and it leaked and destroyed an employee's clothing. So, on the whole, we have found that the citizens of Halton have been exceptionally good with the Blue Box program, but we do have days where people aren't really thinking that the only materials that they can put in the Blue Box are container materials and paper fiber materials.
I guess from the original days of the blue box, which may or may not even have been a box, I guess you've seen a lot of changes.
Oh yes, actually in Halton, as you know, we started in 1978, and all we did was collect newspapers, and my husband was driving the truck and I was hopping up and down the back of the truck picking up the newspapers from Rosedale area. And then a couple of years later, we started collecting newspapers in Oakville and in Milton. So it's expanded a lot from 50 tons the first year of material, primarily the newspaper. Now we're processing approximately, well, over 25,000 tons a year.
Would you say that the Blue Box program is very successful or extremely successful?
I like to think Halton is #1 in Ontario, even Canada. It's extremely successful here.
Gwen, the sortation system is an interesting one. Tell us how it works as we watch the dozer fill up its bucket with all kinds of material.
Yes, as you say, Ralph, he's filling up the bucket, and then he will move the material over to the container sortation system. And at that point, the material moves up a conveyor line, and the steel cans are magnetically separated off the line. The rest of the material is dropped to the main conveyor system where it is hand sorted.
Let's come back to the bucket again. He's just taking his load now to the beginning of the conveyor and dumping it in where it will start to go up the conveyor and commence the sortation process.
That's correct.
So let's just move over here a little bit now and actually see that sortation process taking place. When the sortation process continues, as we now separate the
steel cans are being separated by the electromagnet. Then the aluminum cans drop onto the line. And they come up over here. And you see the aluminum cans are shooting out the end here. The remainder of the material, the PET bottles, the glass, the high-density bottles, and the polystyrene are pulled off at this conveyor line. And the clear glass is separated from the colored glass.
So in one bin here we have colored glass, and in the bin to the left we have clear glass.
That's correct. And then you'll see the individuals are taking off the polystyrene. They're taking off the high-density bottles. And they're taking off the PET bottles. And they're sorted into gaylords.
How many different sorting components are here? We're separating plastic, glass, aluminum, and metal.
That's correct, yeah. In the whole process, operation, we handle about 20 different commodities in here. So now you can see the gentleman's just moving the materials off, and some of the bottles again, the PET, the high-density bottles.
I even see in the odd occasion the employee throws a piece of something into one of the other barrels, which is probably just residue, is it?
Yes. Unfortunately, people are putting tubs into this the system in Halton, and at the moment we're not marketing that material. There's a very small market for that, and we're not included in that program as yet. As the marketplace develops, then we can add new commodities. The plastic industry is a developing industry, and even though most of us would like to get rid of all of our plastics, right at the moment, not all of them can be processed into a recycled product. The line is stopped at certain times just to make sure that we can sort it efficiently. Here you're seeing the aluminum and steel cans being separated. We do a double sort with the steel cans and the aluminum cans. It's the same thing as I said with regard to the cardboard. We have to make sure we've got the correct commodity going to the correct mill, and aluminum doesn't want to have steel in their bales of material, and steel company doesn't want to have the aluminum in their bales.
Well, boy, I'm impressed. You know, this is a very important and very significant part of the recycling process, I would say, and I doubt very much if many of the viewers have ever seen anything like this before. Gwen, we've seen how many of the recyclable products that are brought into your factory from curbside are treated and recycled and processed the way they should be in order that an end product can be arrived at very consumer conscious and very consumer oriented. So maybe you could like to tell us about some of these products we have in front of us that are made from something that's been recycled.
That's great, Ralph, because that's the questions asked most. What happens to them? Now, here we have a glass bottle made out of recycled glass. As well, we have a cement block which has particles of broken glass in it. And then over here, from the household items of the polystyrene, you know, the cups and the packaging here, which is then made into pellets. You see some clear here and some colored ones. And they are made into office stock, such as the rulers and the file baskets. And over here, we have some other products, and they're made out of the high-density bottles that we were talking about earlier and we saw on the conveyor line. Some of them are made into oil bottles. Some of them are made into drainage pipes. And some of them are made into liner bags. And here we have the packaging material made out of this. It's got 30% recycled stretch wrap in that one. And that material as well is pelletized before it becomes this end product. The PET bottles, the bottles that we use for the soft drink containers, are actually shredded, and most of them are made into fibers, such as your comforters or your winter jackets. The lining is made out of this material. Besides that, if we don't have a sample here, but the newspapers are made back into newspapers. And as we said earlier, fine paper is made into fine paper.
And I suppose there are other products that are coming on stream as a result of the continuous engineering process of recycling?
Especially in the plastics field. There's a heavy concentration on R&D to develop new products out of recycled materials.
Well, Gwen, it's been great having you spend the time with us today, and I'm just going to give you this opportunity to sort of make any summarizing remarks that you might like to.
Well, I'd just like to thank the citizens of Halton for participating so well as they have in this program, because if it weren't for them, the program wouldn't be as good as it is. And it's one of the top programs in Ontario. Over there on the other side of the room, there are a couple of awards that we've received because of the participation of the people in Halton. So I really appreciate your coming here and sharing this and letting the people see what actually transpires in the recycling processing facility.
Ladies and gentlemen, this brings to conclusion this edition of Municipal Beat. And on behalf of Gwen DeCepolo at Bronte 3R Recyclables Recovery and all the staff that helped us put this program together and bring it to you, we hope you enjoyed it, and we thank you very much for watching. So until the next time, keep active, keep involved, and have a good day. I'm Ralph Robinson.